it says that we are only capable of using 10% of our brain. So who was the guy that used 11?
That isn't the right logic.
No. I'm gonna be honest, like, I wasn't late on purpose. Is anybody ever late on purpose?
Michael Paul Beasley Jr., born January 9th, 1989. Today's feature is the story of the saying, "It takes more than talent." When Michael Beasley entered the NBA draft, he was seen as a clear top 2 pick behind Derrick Rose, and some even thought swapping those picks would have been great long-term for both teams. But one thing for sure is that the Miami Heat and basketball fans expected a lot from Michael Beasley, and me personally, I was excited to see him come into the league and satisfied he went to a team like the Miami Heat, who didn't have another star next to Dwayne Wade at the time. So if Beasley was really who his college career suggested he was, he could be just the pick the Heat needed. Instead, he became the first player, along with Joe Alexander, to be traded in the 2008 class of top 10 picks. Confidence and aura-wise, this may have affected his play mentally and could have easily distracted him or caused teams to cast him as a certain player, so run less plays for him, lessening his production. But as they say, excuses can always be made, don't mean they're cared about. He was a top 3 recruit in the 2007 high school class, but really made his name when he finally suited up for K-State. Immediately, Beasley shocked college basketball by the insane numbers he was putting up that we've only seen that decade on that level by guys like Kevin Durant and Carmelo Anthony. He was the player of the year in his standout lone season at Kansas State, along with Conference Player of the Year, consensus first-team All-American, and averaged over 26 points a game and 12 rebounds. With clearly nothing left to prove on that level, he entered the NBA draft, many thinking he could even become what so many thought Derrick Coleman would have been had he peaked correctly. But by his 4th season, his production began to fall off, and by just 30 years old, he was out of the entire league. A far fall from where many thought his talents and versatility would end up, and could also be a great example of how greatly NCAA basketball differs from the NBA and everything that goes into fulfilling your potential. He was signed by the Brooklyn Nets most recently, but had to leave the Orlando bubble for testing positive for the rona before even playing one game for the team. So what happened to this once promising star? Was it weed, work ethic, or being waived? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Michael Beasley is a 6'9" multi-position player from PG County in Maryland, known for his silky smooth game, along with a star quality you only know when you see. Each year in high school, he went to a different school, including Oak Hill Academy and Notre Dame Prep, where as a senior, he averaged 28 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 blocks. He also made the McDonald's All-American roster, and after scoring 23 points and grabbing 12 rebounds, he won the game's MVP and was rated the #1 player in the class, one that included Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, and O.J. Mayo, heading into his freshman season. Stunt number 1, tweener. The first and probably the most obvious stunt in Beasley's growth is actually that. He grew too much or not enough to fit any true position in the NBA like he did in high school and college. It's one of the main differences between the amateur and pro levels that you have to prepare for. You have to see soon enough where most NBA teams could use your style of play, then dedicate your development toward that. Of course, no one told Beasley this as he continued dominating down low in high school and in college, because on those levels, he was simply unguardable. At K-State, he was an absolute matchup nightmare. Besides his confidence fully being intact, Beasley was just too quick for 4s and 5s to stay with him when he worked on the wing or in pick and roll situations, and down low on those levels, his strength and athleticism took over, giving him the advantage there as well. Many have said, well, also at a school like Kansas State, he really didn't play the best competition. False. Being in the Big 12 at the time, he was consistently matched up against some of the top Southern schools and also a program as talented as Kansas, who Beasley scored 25 on their first meeting and 39 points and 11 rebounds the second time around. He scored 40 or more 3 times in college, including a career-high 44 points against Baylor, along with 14 rebounds. Beasley was a beast and couldn't be stopped, but then came the NBA. First off, he came in shorter than previously listed when measured at the combine, standing at 6'7" without shoes and 6'8" with. So now at 6'8" and a rookie coming into a team led by all-star Dwayne Wade and bigs like Jermaine O'Neal, Udonis Haslem, and Sean Marion, who had a specific skill, Beasley had to battle for the 29 minutes a game he was given. Against other teams, it was clear size would be an issue for him unless he had the skill to change to a smaller position. Without playmaking abilities of an NBA small forward, making the change wouldn't be so easy. But he was still confident coming off the year he had at State, and he was the second overall pick, so had the chances and made well of them. He averaged 13.9 points a game, 5.4 rebounds, and shot 41% from the field in just under 30 minutes. He was all rookie first team, but eventually it wasn't so easy once the league figured him out and his skill didn't develop enough to play small forward, nor his body growing or developing enough to be a true 4 or 5. Stunt number 2, being traded from Miami. LeBron James doesn't get enough credit for how much he affected the game by joining forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in 2010. One person directly affected by the move was Michael Beasley. Getting traded, I'm sure, is no fun. Not only do you have to adjust quickly to a new situation and required not to miss a beat, you also have to deal with mentally how that makes you feel to have been given up on and traded. Especially when you were the number 2 overall pick and everyone else from that lottery are striving. Well, except this guy. But in order to clear salary cap space to acquire LeBron James and Chris Bosh, they had to get rid of Beasley's contract. He was traded to Minnesota July 12, 2010 after his sophomore campaign, where he increased his average from 13.9 to 14.8 points a game. He was just now becoming comfortable in the league, even more confident. I think when he was traded just to get other players, he lost a bit of that confidence, and as more disappointments came over time, his production worsened. In his first year with the new Timberwolves team, he averaged a career-high over 19 points a game and 5 rebounds. He was looking like an all-star in the making and helped the Timberwolves to a better record. He played great next to the 5th overall pick in Beasley's draft class, Kevin Love, and then a foot injury happens that takes Beasley out for almost 2 weeks and 11 games. He wasn't the same for a long time after that. Traded from the team that drafted you, now injury, confidence can be easily lost if you're not strong enough or aware enough to pull yourself to reach your full potential. No, as a team, Miami wouldn't have won without trading him, but individually, he would have developed better had he do it younger with the Heat.
It's me! The only one!
Stunt number 3, opportunity. This one some may not agree with, but if you look at Beasley's career on paper, it shows that between the trade that directly took the opportunity to become comfortable and grow in one place early on in Miami, to injuries, to teams following the consensus and casting Beasley as a pothead or low IQ player or even lazy, took away a lot of valuable opportunity, more than him not playing well because he smokes weed or doesn't play hard. I actually think Beasley has great work ethic. In a strange way, you can sort of tell in this social media era who's working hard in the off-season because you see them everywhere. Beasley is usually a name popping up in the gyms from coast to coast, yet he can't even get a job. I don't think you can be that lazy to where you don't like making money to hoop in the prime of your youth. No way. I also don't think you could be that lazy to play 11 seasons in the NBA. He simply couldn't get a job because the stigma on Beasley is he's possibly a liability because of the alleged pot use or his accused lack of work ethic. I think over his career, he just hadn't had the right opportunity. It would have worked in theory in Miami, but Wade couldn't wait for his knees to completely go out, so made the move to get LeBron and Chris Bosh, giving up Michael Beasley. Him catching COVID right after signing to play in the 1920 Orlando bubble was one of his more recent opportunities taken away. All in all, Beasley could have been a great second, third option guy on a contender and may have developed into a star in Miami. But circumstances, timing, and lack of the right physical tools to compete in the league stunted his growth. I think he can still play in the league, and I'm sure he'll get another chance soon. But for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth, and I'm out.
So I'm going to start with the ankle watch because what's going on down there? I've never seen that.
I'm just fired in the New Balance.